She told me I was the problem on a Sunday morning. Soft lights spilling across our kitchen counter, steam curling from her coffee mug, and me, standing there with a dish towel in my hand, halfway through drying a plate. That's when she said it, like it was the most natural thing in the world. You're the reason I'm unhappy. You hold me back. You always have. There wasn't a fight leading up to it. No screaming match. No dramatic gesture. Just those words. Cold, clinical. Like she'd rehearsed them in the mirror, maybe for weeks, maybe longer. I set the plate down gently. I remember it clicked on the granite counter, a hollow sound that felt louder than it should have been. And then I just stood there, watching the steam rise between us. It was a strange kind of betrayal, not the kind you catch in a hotel room or hidden messages, but something slower, almost invisible, the kind that builds up in silence, the kind that pretends to love you while slowly stepping away. That moment didn't feel like the beginning of the end. It felt like I'd just walked into a room and realized I'd been alone for a long, long time. She didn't cry. I didn't ask why, but my chest felt heavy in a way I couldn't name. Not like heartbreak, more like grief, for a version of us that maybe only existed in my head. I didn't leave that day, not physically, but something in me started packing. I started noticing things I'd ignored. How she'd stopped touching me, even in small ways. The kisses had become absent-minded. Her phone never left her side, face always down. And her laugh, it used to be full, contagious. Now it was sharp, shallow, like she was laughing at someone who wasn't me. The worst part? I believed her. When someone you love tells you you're the problem, you don't question it. Not right away. You take it in. You wear it like a coat. You think, maybe I'm not ambitious enough. Maybe I've played it safe too long. Maybe I'm boring. Predictable. Easy to leave. I started retracing everything. Every argument. Every disappointment. Every moment where I thought I was doing the right thing. Working late to build a life. Saying yes to her dreams. Shrinking myself to make space. She said I didn't push her. She said I wasn't passionate enough. She said I didn't make her feel alive. I didn't ask her who did. Instead, I started fading out. Quietly. I stopped asking where she was going when she left for those sudden networking events. I didn't press when she came home smelling like hotel shampoo. I didn't check her phone, though I knew if I did, I'd find more than I was ready for. Instead, I focused on detaching. I started journaling again, writing things down, not to make sense of them, but to let them exist somewhere outside my head. September 14th, she said I'm holding her back. I didn't know love had weight limits. October 3rd, she wore heels and perfume to meet a client. She hasn't dressed up for me in 6 months. October 20th, I think I'm more afraid of staying than of leaving. By November, I had a plan. It wasn't dramatic. I wasn't looking for revenge or vindication. Just escape. I opened a separate account, quietly moved my direct deposit, transferred old savings she'd forgotten about. I found a studio on the other side of town, barely furnished, but peaceful. The kind of place where I could hear myself think again. I waited until her birthday. A dinner party at our house, a dozen of her friends gathered, faces lit by candles and red wine. I sat at the end of the table like a ghost, watching her laugh at jokes I didn't understand anymore. I looked around and realized I didn't belong there. Not with them. Not with her. She barely looked at me that night. So the next morning, I left a note on the counter. Not a dramatic letter. Just 3 lines. You told me I was the problem. So I removed myself. Take care of the life you said I was holding back. I didn't take much. Just a duffel bag, my laptop, and the old wristwatch my grandfather left me. She didn't text. She didn't call. Not that day. Not the next. And yet, a week later, I got a message from her best friend, Erica. We hadn't spoken in months, but her words were heavy. She moved on fast. He was already in the picture, wasn't he? I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I already knew. The truth is, I left her before I ever walked out the door. It just took me a while to admit it. Took even longer to stop blaming myself. Because the part that stings most isn't the betrayal. It's realizing you believed someone when they told you that you were the one breaking everything, when all along, they were just looking for a way to justify the mess they already planned to make. And the cruelest part? I thought leaving would break her heart. Turns out, I was just making room for the next version of the same mistake. It was 2 months after I left when I saw them together for the first time. I was picking up takeout from a little Thai place downtown, one of those dimly lit spots with plastic orchids and laminated menus. I just paid when I turned to leave and nearly bumped into them coming through the door. Her hand was in his. And just like that, the air left the room. She didn't see me right away. Her laugh, that same one I used to wait all day to hear, rang out behind him as she leaned into his shoulder. They looked like a couple deep in the honeymoon glow, playful, magnetic, untouched by history. I stood frozen by the door, keys digging into my palm. Then she saw me. It was barely a second, our eyes locking across a chasm of everything unspoken. She blinked. Her smile faltered for a heartbeat. But then it returned, just a little tighter, a little more performative. He didn't notice. He brushed a strand of her hair back like he'd done it 100 times. Maybe he had. I walked out without a word. That night, I couldn't eat. I sat in my new apartment, the bare walls still echoing with the silence I thought I'd been craving, and I just stared at the takeout box, untouched. It's one thing to walk away. It's another to realize how quickly you've been replaced. And yet, even then, I didn't feel anger. Just confirmation. Confirmation that I hadn't been the problem. I'd just been in the way. That was the first time I let myself feel it. Not grief, not heartbreak, but detachment. I'd spent so long wondering what I could have done differently, whether I'd failed her somehow. Seeing her with him didn't hurt the way I expected. It clarified everything. He wasn't new. Not to her. Not to the story. He was the next chapter already being written before I even turned the page. I found out later his name was Travis. Worked in marketing at her firm. Younger. Fitter. The kind of guy who quoted startup founders like scripture and ordered expensive cocktails with names you couldn't pronounce. Friends said they'd been seen together before the split. Too close, too often. But no one had said anything to me. Why would they? When you're quiet, people assume you can't handle the truth. I didn't reach out. Didn't ask questions. But the updates came anyway. They always do. Mutual friends, those brave enough to toe the line, would drop things in conversation. She looks really happy. He treats her well, from what I hear. They're already talking about moving in. Every sentence felt like a subtle push. As if to say, see? She was right. She just needed something more. I smiled when I heard it. Always polite. Always understanding. But deep down, I was watching. Not obsessively. Just observing. There's a certain calm that comes when you've been through enough to no longer flinch. I wasn't waiting for them to fall apart. I wasn't hoping for some cosmic punishment. I just knew people don't change because they switch partners. They repeat. And soon enough, the cracks started showing. It began with social media. Her photos shifted. First, they were full of light. Brunches, beach trips, handwritten notes with his messy scrawl in the corners. But then came the quotes. You know the ones. Sometimes the person who says they'll never hurt you is the one who does. Just because someone looks good together doesn't mean they are good together. The pictures got fewer. Her smile dimmed. And slowly, the comments started dropping off. Then one afternoon, Erica, her best friend, the same one who'd messaged me after I left, called. I hadn't spoken to her since. Look, she said, skipping past pleasantries. I know you probably don't want to hear this. But she's unraveling. I didn't answer right away. I wasn't sure what she expected from me. She says Travis doesn't listen, she went on. That he's always working. She cries a lot. She said she feels invisible. Invisible. I almost laughed. Not cruelly, just at the irony. The same word I'd used to describe how I felt the last year of our marriage. Like I'd faded from her view long before I ever left. She says he makes her feel small, Erica added. Like she has to earn his love. I let the silence stretch because I didn't know what to say. She wanted me to tell you she's sorry. Those words hit different. Not because I believed them, but because I knew they weren't for me. They were for her, to ease her guilt, to write a softer ending to a chapter she'd torn apart. I thanked Erica, kept it brief, and hung up. That night, I sat with it. Her unraveling. Her regret. But more than that, I sat with the strange comfort of knowing I wasn't the poison. I was just the mirror. She looked at me and saw everything she didn't want to confront in herself. Stability, safety, stillness. She called it stagnation. Called it suffocating. But now she was drowning in the same storm she said I created. And I wasn't there to throw her a lifeline. Not anymore. It was late February when I saw her again. Not in person this time. Just a video. Someone from our old circle sent it to me. Probably unintentionally, maybe intentionally. It was one of those casual Instagram stories someone forgot to block me from. A party. Laughing voices. Music thumping low in the background. And then, the camera panned. There she was, leaning against a kitchen counter in someone's overpriced condo, plastic cup in hand, mascara slightly smudged, laughing too hard at something someone off-screen said. But it wasn't the laugh I knew. It was that kind of laughter you use to keep from falling apart. Loud, hollow. Then came the part that stuck. She turned to the camera, smiled, and just behind her, Travis walked by. Didn't touch her, didn't glance at her, just kept going, scrolling through his phone, drink in the other hand. And in that moment, she looked right into the lens, smiled a little tighter, and I saw it. That flicker, that exact expression she used to wear near the end with me. The one that said, "Is this it? Is this really what I left everything for?" I didn't watch it again. I didn't need to. I already knew what came next. The same script. The same cycle. She'd tell him he didn't see her anymore. That she felt ignored, overlooked, underloved. She'd begin looking outward, just like before. Emotional breadcrumbs would scatter in the form of girls' trips, late meetings, just a friend from work. And maybe Travis would notice. Maybe he wouldn't. But one thing was certain. Whatever fire she was chasing, it kept burning through the bridges she built. The hardest part about healing is that it doesn't always come with justice. Sometimes the apology never arrives. Sometimes the person who shattered you just goes on, smiling, dating, starting over, like nothing happened. But if you're lucky, you reach a place where you don't need it. That's where I landed. Quietly, gradually, not with some grand realization, not with a new love sweeping in to save me. Just space, and stillness, and mornings that didn't start with a weight on my chest. I found joy in small things again. Cooking for one, Saturday walks, reading books that had collected dust during my marriage. I reconnected with my brother, took up sketching again, nothing serious, just lines and shade and silence. And somewhere in that stillness, I stopped asking why. Stopped replaying the moments where I thought I could have done something different. Because here's what I know now. When someone tells you that you're the problem, listen, but don't forget to ask why they're saying it. Sometimes it's projection. Sometimes it's deflection. And sometimes it's just easier to cast blame than to face your own patterns. She needed me to be the villain, so she could be the victim. But I wasn't. I was the mirror. I showed her who she was becoming. Settled, safe, seen too deeply. And that scared her. Because deep down, she was never looking for someone to grow with. She was looking for someone to chase, to fix, to blame when the novelty wore off. And when I stopped being new, when the thrill turned into routine, she convinced herself I was the thing weighing her down, only to discover that the weight followed her because it lived inside her. A few weeks ago, Erica messaged again, said they'd broken up. No surprise there. Something about a fight, something about Travis seeing someone else. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. I just asked one question. Did she say it again? Erica didn't respond right away. Then finally, 3 words. Yeah, same thing. He's the problem. And just like that, I knew. I'd been right to leave. Not because I hated her. Not because I wanted revenge. But because the longer I stayed, the more I would have disappeared inside a pattern that wasn't mine to fix. Some people chase chaos and call it passion. Some leave when the fire dims and blame the one who brought the light in the first place. But me? I'm not angry anymore. I don't carry bitterness in my chest. What I carry is a reminder that healing isn't about watching someone fall apart after they hurt you. It's about standing tall when they expected you to stay broken. She told me I was the problem, so I removed myself. And now I watch from a distance as the cycle repeats, knowing, deep in my bones, that this time, it's not my job to save her. It never was.